Hi, my name is Tom. I am 32 years old and I am from the UK.
And you used to struggle with a lot of health issues?
Yes, I used to have quite a lot of issues going quite far back into my past. I had quite emotionally upsetting childhood, but very suppressed. So there was a lot of things that went on which I didn't understand and I didn't know how to emotionally process. And so when I got to around about the age of 12, I started to rebel a little bit, and this kind of led me down a bit of a pathway into alcohol and smoking and drugs, which made things a lot worse. So the issues I had in my body actually became a lot worse. And as I moved through this, the emotional suppression in my past, as well as the drugs that I was taking and the issues I was having with my family, just heightened and got worse and worse, until I hit around about 19, when I was extremely depressed and I couldn't really see the reason to live, and I was very low at that time. And then I kind of had a little bit of a boost. I went to the hospital, or I went to the doctors, and they prescribed me antidepressants, and although I'd taken loads of drugs before that, I decided that I didn't want to take these drugs, and so I never took them, and I decided I was going to try and help myself, try and get myself out of this predicament I was in. And I was feeling very ashamed of the fact that I could leave my family behind, and it was a little bit selfish, but I just felt so bad that I was like, what do I do? So I felt a little bit trapped, a bit stuck. And so what I did was I got myself a self-help book, which was I Can Heal Your Life by Louise Koch. And I started reading this, and I started to turn my life around slowly, and started to mend my relationships with my family. I always had a good relationship with my mum, and I just decided to sort things out. And as I worked through this, so this was the emotional side of things, I kind of sorted everything out, and my life started to get better. I found out that I found confidence within myself. I used self-help books to build my confidence, to make my life richer, as in not just money, but richer in, totally in a holistic way. And that worked really well, and I started going to the gym and working out, and I became very confident and quite successful business-wise, and I became the perfect son, almost,
Right. So what about the health side of things?
So the health side of things, this is where it started to happen. So first of all, I noticed that my back was starting to get a little bit worse.
When was this?
This was around 4 years ago. So I had a fall on a bike. I was very active. I used to keep myself really busy, and you could say that I was kind of there was some stuff underneath that I used to keep myself busy for. So yeah, I got to a point where I was working out a lot and things, and I had an issue with my back. I was quite acidic. I was weightlifting at the time, and then I had a fall off a bike, and then my back went out. And then over the next year, my back progressively got worse and worse, to the point where I was just I could hardly walk, and I was just taking loads of drugs to keep myself going. So then I had an MRI scan. I had a disc tear and a disc bulge. But I was also experiencing other issues. I had psoriasis quite badly in the head. I had conjunctivitis all the time.
So psoriasis, was that from when you were a kid, or?
Psoriasis was, yeah, I mean, like I always had kind of like an itchy head, and I never grew my hair for that reason. As you can see, I've grown my hair now. But so yeah, and then there was a lot of nosebleeds and a lot of stomach issues.
Like what?
So stomach issues was like bleeding from the age of, I always bled when I went to the toilet, but I just thought it was normal because it was from the age of, from the beginning, so I just thought that bleeding was normal. And I was, in hospital with knee issues, and things would never heal. Like I said, nosebleeds, hay fever. There was just a whole host. There was about 30 to 45 a list of things that was going on with me, and I can't remember them all right now,
wow.
unfortunately.
That's a lot.
There's a lot of things going on.
Which one was the worst one?
So physically, the back one was the worst one, because I was in bed for 6 months off work, and that was when I had to kind of face all this emotional stuff at the same time. So although we're talking about the physical, there was obviously I was learning that they all work together: physical, emotional, mental. So I had to deal with a lot of stuff at that point because I'd had everything stripped away from me. And then I kind of, that was sort of 4 years ago, and I sort of promised myself that I would get myself out of my life because it was toxic, and I would follow my, follow my heart sort of thing. And I slowly moved myself into, away from anything medical and any drugs, and I moved myself into holistic life. And as I moved myself into holistic life, I started looking into yoga and philosophy, and realizing that a lot of it can be altered by the foods that we ingest and the chemistry in the food. So as I started to sort of wake up a little bit, I brought different people into my life, and someone started to talk about raw foods. And so in January 2015, I started a raw food diet, and for 1 month, and did the Stanley Burroughs Master Cleanse. And then by April that same year, I quit my job, left, and I moved to Bali, where I met a girl who cured herself from multiple sclerosis, MS, just on a fruit-based diet through Dr. Morse's teachings on YouTube. And so I was so taken back by that I just immediately was like, I'm just going to start doing fruits and try and get myself through this, you know. And I spent the next 10 months just eating fruits, and I had complete emotional releases. I had all sorts of stuff leaving me. That was 18 months ago, and now I am like, my back's like fully sorted. I don't have any nosebleed, no psoriasis. My hair and scalp's completely clean. Conjunctivitis is going, my eyes are clearing. I can actually digest my food, because for a period of time it was going in the same way it was coming out. And then there was all the blood that was coming out at the same time. So as soon as I stopped eating cooked food, I stopped getting blood coming out in my stools. So like some people would say to me, you know, they'd sort of put you on a bit of a downer and say, oh, why do you eat raw food and things like that. But it's like, well, if I eat raw foods, then I bleed, and I know that bleeding's not a good thing. So that's kind of like, I've been pushed into it a little bit, and now I really understand the true healing power of the natural living foods, basically. You know?
You mentioned something, conjunctivitis.
Conjunctivitis is like inflammation of the eyes. So when you get mucus and mucus coming out of your eyes, you know, basically you're full of acids, you know, acidic foods. And acidic foods in my terminology is meats, grains, starchy carbs, processed foods, dairy, you know, GMO, anything pasteurized, or anything that's been messed with, anything other than natural foods, really. So you know, what's healed me is mostly fruits, because they're so astringent and just so they've just got life and energy in them, you know. But also the salads have been good. Salads when I go home, because obviously when you're in a colder country you can't always have the fruits because the quality's not as great. So making do with salads and things like that, and so that's how I've kind of worked my way through it.
Awesome.
So yeah.
And today, any health issues?
Oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm in such a great place. I don't have any depression. Depression for me was one of the hardest things to get out of, because not only are you in your depression, you don't know how to get out of it because you're feeling your depression. And what I'm understanding now is how our glands and hormones in our bodies actually deliver the hormones that make us feel in certain ways. And if the glands are not functioning properly because we're eating foods that are acidic, which like kill the cells, then we're not able to feel the right way and get the right hormones and steroids to make us feel good, you know. And so I feel great, I really do, and I'm just happy to be here doing what I'm doing and being interviewed like this, so awesome. I'm really glad to share it with people as well, because it's so important that people understand that you can get through it and you're not alone, and that people have done it, you know.
Definitely. You do have a channel yourself?
I do, yeah. My channel is called Inspired by Nature, and it's only been going a short while, but basically I just share what I know and what I'm learning, and I think it's a good way to reach people. I feel like I've held on to a lot of information over the last 18 months and gone through quite a lot, and now I feel it's time just to let that go and see if anyone can enjoy that themselves.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you very much.
Hvis du gerne vil vide mere om, hvordan man helbreder sig selv naturligt, så gå over på min hjemmeside Rask på Raw. Her kan du tilmelde dig mit gratis videocrash-kursus, og så lærer jeg dig meget mere om principperne og kosten, så du selv kan komme i gang. Og forresten, husk at abonnere på mig på YouTube, hvis du gerne vil se flere gode videoer.